'Tis the new year of 2025, and already we have plenty to talk about. Stay tuned.
All that and more.
Good evening, fine folk. My name is Cliff Purvis. I'm a former British Army corporal.
And I'm Russ Denny. I'm a former British Army warrant officer. Hello again to this 32nd episode of the Recce Report and our first of 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, Cliff.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Russ. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Are we still doing that? Are we still allowed to say Happy New Year? I mean, I know those in politics are trying to desperately crush all the happiness that we have. I mean, Westminster, to my mind, is acting like a happiness vortex. It is just sucking the happiness out of things.
It just gets worse and worse, mate, doesn't it? You know, we've got obviously, the political scene is shifting, and I think you're seeing that across the globe. Trump, the resurgence of Trump in America. He's a week from now he will be sworn in as the 47th president of the US. He's already gathering his minions around him, ready to go. And I mean, well, chomping on about annexing Canada, buying Greenland, and renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, because these are all important things for a country that prides itself on being non-expansionist.
Yes. Oh, jeepers. Yeah. Well, we all know why he's after Greenland. It's its massive natural resources that will be exposed once the ice cap melts. And remember, Trump will never be bothered by the ice cap melting because he's probably got a hideaway somewhere way out of the area that will get flooded, and his family and friends will quite live out a life quite comfortable. Yeah, it's the usual thing with Trump. Internally, the US president at the best of times has very little to do internally, because the state governors run it, and their state, their American Constitution, lets them do that. So it's also outside the borders that the US president operates within. And the Panama Canal is about the only thing you missed out in that summary there, Russ. And they're wanting that one because it was built for the transit of the Navy. He's wanting to have Canada as the 51st state because they pay for the defence of Canada. They want Denmark to relinquish Greenland to the free world, I think the comment was. I think you're sitting there giving a whoo.
It's barking, right? And as we had this chat before, my feeling is that this is all a massive, shotgun approach throughout all the chaff, that the smoke screen of the outrageous things that he says, all the meanwhile coming up with the most insidious, horrible things that he can do under the cover of that, like take away medical rights and healthcare from the impoverished and the disenfranchised. That's the sort of stuff that's going to happen. I did see something that made me laugh the other day. That he said, Trump said, he says a lot of things. He said he was going to pardon all of the January 6th rioters on day one. Well, it was the other day. His Vice President J.D. Vance was on saying, well, no, obviously, if you are sentenced for violent crimes, you're not going to get pardoned. And they are, and the Jan Sixers are just losing their shit. Yeah. Like, we were promised. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
There's all these small, inverted commas, people, and I don't cast myself as anything big, but there's all these little groupings that he spoke to, that he aligned himself with and said, vote for me and you are going to have all of this. Yeah, you're going to get X, Y, and Z. And there was never a chance of it happening. Never a chance of it happening.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and it's, is it a plan by him to increase the unstable actions within each state. So they're going to end up at each other's throats. So he then can.
I don't think he cares, mate. That's
Yeah.
my thing. I think the only person that Trump cares about is Trump.
Yes.
And all he's going to do is use the presidency to just enrich himself, which is what he did last time.
Yeah.
And stick his fingers and stuff. I think Musk is a bigger threat to American to world democracy at the moment.
He is. A friend of mine said Musk seems to think he's a very clever person. He's not. He's just very, very. He's used that to promote the ideas of some very clever people, and as a result, he has been carried away by his own propaganda.
Well, he knows it, mate. Was it Goebbels that said that you control the media, you control the narrative, and that's what Trump did. He bought the media.
Yeah.
He bought the election.
Yeah. And it is, and we're seeing it across here, Russ. We're not sitting on our little North Atlantic archipelago immune to these things. I mean, you noticed a comment coming out of Reform UK today, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was it the chairman of Reform UK?
Oh, Reform, yeah. It's so this is one I seen the other day. I don't know if anyone's seen it. So the chairman of Reform UK is a guy called Zia Yusuf. Don't be fooled by the name. He was born in Bellshill, albeit privately educated in London, ex-CEO of Goldman Sachs and a multimillionaire. So very anti-establishment. Was effectively saying that when elected, Nigel Farage will order the Royal Navy to ensure that no vessel attempting to cross the English Channel will reach the shores.
Yeah.
And we just had a wee giggle, Cliff and I, because clearly, maritime law is something that Reform UK don't understand. It's just doing it, and I'm pretty sure that the head of the Royal Navy will tell them where to go.
Yeah.
If that ever becomes a thing.
Yeah. I mean, what is Farage expecting the Royal Navy to do? Blow them out of the water, herd them in the middle of the channel until they starve to death?
It's a war. It's a war crime, then, isn't it?
It is an absolute war crime. But again, this is Farage doing a Trump.
Mm-hmm.
We used to think that Boris Johnson, was a 5p Trump, but it looks as though we totally forgot all about Farage. Okay, he was unelected at a time, having talked himself out of his one job he did have in Parliament when we got withdrawn from the EU. And it turns out now there was a report about Farage. He's got about 9 different jobs on the go.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy.
A hypocrite. But they're populist politicians. That's what they do. They say stuff that appeals to the lowest common denominator in the electorate, and they run with it. They don't mean a word of it. It's not about doing what they. I mean, if they got, don't get me wrong, if they had enough people, if they got into power, they would do it. But it's about getting into power. Yeah. That's the main thing. They will promise the world to the people that are going to vote for them just to get in. And then they'll do what Trump's doing. They'll just enrich themselves. It will be just filling their pockets on the way out.
I mean, Farage has forgotten about what he tried to attempt over the summer there, when they totally misread how the people of England were feeling about the immigration and stuff. Mm-hmm. When I'm convinced he was attempting an insurrection. He was expected to ride in, to have the keys of the House of Commons handed to him by Yaxley Lennon. And, Farage would ride in on a white horse. We've got a comment just coming in there from Evelyn. Good evening to you, Evelyn. The Greens insisting the FM does not meet him if requested. I guess that's Trump. Evelyn's talking about.
I think he's talking about Trump there. I don't think it's an interesting one, Evelyn. I'm going to be honest, because at the end of the day, he is a foreign dignitary, and we start talking about statesmanship and diplomacy and that sort of stuff. I mean, technically, as a convicted felon, he's not even allowed to enter the country. But So how they get around that, I don't know. It will be, but he's going to do it. He'll do the rounds, won't he? He'll do the rounds. He'll be shaking the hands of everyone.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he'll be too quick to come to Scotland because he always gets such a warm welcome here, doesn't he?
I absolutely get it as well. How we can be sitting back here incredibly frustrated that our politicians are meeting with these absolute lunatics, these people who would do harm to others without blinking an eye. But as you said, it is politics. It's high politics, statesman.
It's the great game, mate, isn't it?
Yeah,
politics is the great game.
Yeah, and so it's I think if asked to do so, the First Minister would meet with him. I'd love to be a fly in the wall to see what he talks about. But so we have got problems. We've got huge problems, and it is the rise of the right, Russ.
Mm-hmm. It's happening. It's across the globe, mate, and I worry about it. Do we have to, as a species, do we have to go through these cycles? I hesitate to say revolutions because it's not a revolution. It's just coming around again where it's the rise of the right, and the worrying thing is that we, as in United Kingdom, are going to be the bad guys this time.
Yep.
But then I think history is written by the winners, so it's only the bad guys if they lose. Who's going to stand against it? Who's going to stand up to the rise of fascism now? If it's not going to be the UK and it's not going to be America because they've got a dictator in chief now.
Yeah. We've got a wannabe dictator. France seems to be holding its nerve.
Yeah, they've got to be saved by France and the Canadians, mate. They're the ones who's going to have to ride in to save us all.
Yeah, France will never go right.
No.
No. There's one country on this planet that knows how to protest.
Well, that's it. I mean, France, the right-wing politicians in France know what happens if you go too far right. There's precedent there.
Absolutely. Yeah, if only we didn't have that English channel separating us, we might have a bit of that revolutionary fervour about us, a bit more
definitely
stomach for it. Not that I'm inciting rebellion, folks, but for the benefits of GCHQ, good happy New Year to you.
Yes, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yes. Right. So, sorry. Yeah. So we've got. Was it the other idiot on the right? Is it Tate? Andrew Tate. Saying.
Oh, Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate, the guy that's under house arrest in Romania for alleged sex trafficking, and statutory rape and all sorts of stuff. There's also warrants out for his arrest in the UK if he ever comes back here. It runs these kind of men's group things where talks about real men and shit. And he's such a weirdo, but he's got a big following, and Trump loves him and Musk loves him. A lot of the right wing absolutely love him. It's scary. I mean, he's not a scary guy himself. The guy's an asshole, but it's scary the following that he's got. Yeah,
and again, those that control social media have got a lot to answer for.
Yeah.
But the trouble is that they are controlling social media because they've got their own agenda. Their agenda fits in lovely with what people are saying. That's why they're allowing it. Yeah. These people used to be the idiots before the advent of social media. These people that are voicing their opinions like this used to be the idiots sitting, at a town hall meeting attended by 3 people. Or sitting at the end of a bar talking into their beer, totally ignored.
Yeah,
but now
the people that own these social media companies, are all paying tribute to Trump. Your Bezos and your Musk, and your Zuckerberg now have all doffed the cap to him. And Zuckerberg said the other day they're taking the fact checking stuff off of Facebook and moving to a community notes type thing. I think the only plus to that is I don't think the EU will let them do it.
Right.
So you'll probably do it in America. But as you can see from our little ticker that's floating on the bottom of the screen, mate, is we've come off the bird site now.
Yeah.
We're now on Blue Sky, which has way better moderation policy on there. When you block people, they stay blocked. When you mute people, they stay muted, and they can't continue to stalk you around the place, so unless they create multiple fake accounts. It's a real better system. It's gone from since Trump won the election, Blue Sky has gone from 10 million to 26 million users. So it's absolutely growing. So if you're on social media, or if you want to be on social media, I can thoroughly recommend Blue Sky. And find us on there and get more of our inane witterings if you want.
Yeah. Yes, I am seeing too many comparisons with what's happened in the UK to what, and I've chatted about this before, Russ, to what happened in Germany in the early 1920s and the 1930s.
And we get condemned for making that comparison, mate, because they're like, oh, you're just being hyperbolic. We're not. We're absolutely not, mate. They say, those that ignore history are condemned to repeat it. And the truth is, you had a charismatic chancellor in 1930s Germany. The circumstances led to him taking power. I mean, the stock market crash of the 1930s brought him to power, to be fair. And we've seen the upshot of that, and that demonization of people. The demonization of immigrants. They talk about the child grooming gangs thing, which is the new hot thing. There was an independent inquiry came out 2 years ago, made a lot of recommendations, and the Tories didn't implement a single one of them.
Yeah, they're the ones sitting there saying that it should be another inquiry.
Yeah, and the truth is, mate, there's white people make up 84% of the population of the UK and commit 88% of the child sexual abuse offences.
Yeah.
So, but they want you to believe that the 4% of child sex abuse cases committed by 7% of the population, which is the Asian population, are the problem. Because they're the ones that the media and these social media owners magnify and portray. So you're led to think, and the truth is, there's an algorithm. The more you read about it, the more it shows you.
Yes.
So you're left thinking this must be a problem, because that's all I'm saying. You're saying it because that's what they want you to say.
Yeah, what was that wonderful phrase you came out on with? Is it moral?
Oh, moral panic.
Yeah.
Moral panic. If you ever fancy some reading, you can Google the term moral panic by a guy called Stanley Cohen, who was a sociologist in the 60s and 70s, who basically itemized how this happens. Something that's not that big a deal, or it's not as big a deal as people make it out to be, or is portrayed to be, is magnified by the media, by the politicians, and then by the wider public, and it ends up, just driving societal change, when in actually it was the problem was one that could have been sorted at a much lower level with a lot less effort. The example that he used, for those of a certain age, will remember the big furore about the mods and the rockers tearing up Brighton in the 1960s. It never happened. There was minor vandalism, and the media created the pitch battle scenario to the extent where there was laws made, about public order in Brighton and mods and rockers gathering in one place and all that sort of stuff, and it was never that much of an issue. So when you see the media telling you this is a big problem, you've got to ask, what is it though?
Yeah. And again, we are, or we should be in Scotland, not susceptible to that. Surely by now, after 11 years of us campaigning for an independent Scotland, we should be savvy to the ways and wildness of the media, the social media organisers. If they're telling us one thing, let's look to the other side to see the actual truth of the matter is.
Yeah, and you have to be aware of it. You know, that's the insidious nature of propaganda. Is if you're aware it's propaganda, it's not working.
Mm.
So it's that aspect of when you find yourself going down the YouTube rabbit hole, or the Facebook rabbit hole, or the Twitter rabbit hole, and suddenly you're seeing lots of negative stuff about immigration. That's because that's what you've been looking at.
Yeah. They will drip, 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 drip until they just chip away at you, and that's what they're hoping for.
Hashford made a comment here that you talked about before, mate. Remember, Britain had Mosley's fascists.
Yeah.
In the 1930s, we absolutely did. The brown shirts.
Yeah. Black shirts, I believe they were.
I was close. I was in the darker hue of the spectrum, mate. Come on.
Yes, you were close. So I'm sniggering because Russ told me a story off air. I'm not going to repeat it, but Russ told me a story off air, which I thought was incredibly funny. The black shirts, and they were, I believe there was a riot in one of the streets in London. It's named after that street that the black shirts got rounded on by the good population of that particular borough in London. And that was basically the end of it. Now, Mosley was a Labour guy. Believe it or not,
to be fair, I think he was Labour, Tory, and British Union of Fascists. So he's a bit of a Lee Anderson of the movement.
So he spent quite a long time in jail, I believe.
Yeah.
He was rounded up in 1939. So guys. I put a post up on the Veterans page the other week there about we're entering into the new year, and we need to push forward with convincing people that an independent Scotland, this has nothing to do with flag waving or support for any supposed monarchy or anything like that. This is now a matter of necessity. We need away from Westminster. Scotland is not the same politics as what Westminster is. And we don't need a few press barons, whether that's social media barons or the printed press, to tell us that we are the same. And why has the BBC exposed us to Farage so often? Over so much time. This guy is so insignificant. Why is he getting so much press time on live TV? And it's because they want his story out there. They want us to go to bed at night having listened to his venom.
Yeah, and they twist the story, mate. You know, I seen Musk kind of jumping on the Tommy Robinson bandwagon. You know, that poor Tommy was locked up by the state for just telling the truth. You know, not the litany of previous offences and the fact that he almost caused a trial to collapse and was sentenced for continued contempt of court. No. He's a brave freedom fighter, and that is the narrative that they try and sell. And as you say, that aspect there of Farage being 34 times on Question Time, something ridiculous like that. It just begs the question: why someone from a minor party? It would be the equivalent in Scotland of there being an ALBA representative on every programme on politics. Now, I'm sure they'd love that, but that's what it is, because at the time Farage was UKIP. They had no elected MPs or MSPs. They had a couple of MEPs because of the way that works, and were just thrust in everyone's throat. It's an aspect, that's. It may not even be intentional. There's that self-fulfilling prophecy of it generates ratings, so they do it more.
Maybe me and you should vouch for get our own slots in Question Time, boys.
I don't know, mate. I hope there's a delay in it, because I really struggle to not swear for the 30 minutes I'm on here, mate, rather than the hour it would be on Question Time, especially when some clangor from the Tories sprouts his usual shit. I did see one where it was your man Darren McGarvey that was on,
right?
And he was really good on Question Time, actually. He was good. He's a very working class guy.
Yeah, I've often been or had it said to me,
You're breaking up a wee bit there, Cliff, mate. What are you doing?
yeah, I'm not doing anything, bud. You frozen me.
You're a wee bit garbled there, buddy.
Can you hear me?
You seem okay now. Yes.
Yep, I'm never okay. Right, Russ, are you keeping an eye on that clock? It's whizzing round yet again.
And Evelyn made a good point here. When SNP were the third largest party in Westminster, Farage still got more airtime.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course they did, because they want to push Farage's agenda. I can't say this often enough, and I make no apologies for keep saying it. Yeah, we are in very, very dangerous waters. Yeah, the sharks are circling, and the sharks are those of the far right. Now, you mentioned Paisley Lennon there earlier on. Yeah, why has this guy got an Irish passport if he's so staunchly a Brit? Why is he bimbling about the world with an Irish passport? You know, they want everybody. You know, they want the UK out of the EU. And he went away and got his own Irish passport, so he could do all his little travelling.
Oh, Farage has got different passports, hasn't he? You think his wife's French, isn't she?
Yeah, I think he's got. I don't know if it's accurate, but I think he has got a French passport.
Yeah.
And obviously he's 9 jobs, and he sells tax-free gold on the internet.
Oh yeah. It's like grift, mate. It really is. You know, all these idiots, your Andrew Tates, your Yaxley Lennons, your Farage, you know, these right-wing idiots that come and go. Mm-hmm. You know, UKIP seems to have disappeared.
Yeah.
I remember I can't remember his name now. They had the Scottish guy in the European Parliament that was apparently ex-forces, and we found out he'd been in the reserves for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When he was at uni, and clammed up really quick about that. But yeah, they come and go, mate. And the right thing to do is to starve them of oxygen. Do not give them the airtime. But we don't control the airwaves, mate. Well, only the 30 minutes we're on here once a month.
We have to. It's not a contradiction what we're doing here by mentioning them, and we've spent most of the 30 minutes mentioning the far right, because people need to be aware of it. So when I posted up the thing, I says we've got to convince 2 people each, and that's was mentioned earlier on in the campaign. You know, if each independent supporter convinces two people that independence is the right thing, then that's what we need to do. We also need to convince people that the rise of the right is not a good thing. You know, for any political so-called democracy to be a good thing, then it has to have a well-balanced political landscape. And at this moment in time, we are heavily leaning to the right, and it's not a comfortable position. Well, certainly not for this call sign.
You're absolutely right, mate. And what UK has done reasonably well has been switch the governments periodically, so that, you know, the couple of years that the Tories in power, they start to drift to the right, then Labour get in, drag it back to the left. And over the term of the 100 years, you kind of stay around about the centre. You know, you have some decent policies, you have the NHS, you have, you know, unions and things like that, and then the Tories stop them doing the crazy shit like giving everyone universal basic income. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of balances out over the years. But the problem we have now is, and we spoke about this before, is that Labour have started chasing the same votes with the anti-immigration rhetoric, the anti-trans rhetoric. There's lots of stuff that's gone on that is just pandering. It's just a dog whistle to the right to get the votes together.
Yeah. Right, buddy. One good thing I'd like to mention is the experiment with the safe rooms for injections that the Scottish Government have managed to get.
Yeah, brilliant. And I love that it took off, mate. I absolutely do. That they got it to happen after the negativity that was broadcast around it. Brilliant thing. And I'm assuming you, as a medic, mate, are overjoyed to see this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, they have got a habit. Fine, they've got a habit. right? We need to address that. And Scotland has got a drug issue, right? We need to address that. But let's get them safe. Let's get them so that if they're injecting, the kit they're using is clean, it's sterile, they're in a safe environment, and then we move forward from that. Right? And I have never.
Sorry to interrupt. Big
Yeah.
shout out there to Mr. E for the donation. Thank you so much, buddy.
Outstanding.
That'll allow Independence Live to continue doing exactly what they do. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. Really generous. Thank you. So I've no complaints at all about safe rooms. The only people that have ever had any complaints about safe rooms are those that can hide away their habit and are not pushed into the squalor that some of our fine folk have been pushed into. Right, Russ.
We are. It's that time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Everyone, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, folks. It's a new year. We've got to re-kick ourselves, get back into this drive for our independence, because our future can be so bright. Yeah, because our independence is absolutely right. We're back on air in a month's time.
It's second Monday of the month.
Yeah.
Some bright spark can work out when that is, but
don't ask me. It's never good with numbers.
But no, thank you, everyone. Please take care. Enjoy what's left of January. Let's make 2025 one where we really further the cause of independence.
Yeah.
Final word, Cliff.
Yeah, our campaign is definitely still alive. All the best, folks, and thank you for listening.
Take care. All the best.
Bye.